my name is Madison and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my biggest financial regrets as a college student for 2023. This year was a very big year for me, a big year of personal growth, improvements, financial gain, habit building. So much happened that I am so beyond grateful for. I also graduated from my undergrad and began grad school. This was a big change in so many ways, a bigger change than I thought it would be, and with that came a whole lot of change for me financially, some of it which I very greatly regret. I'm excited to talk through what I would do differently, why what I did not work for me and was not very smart, and how I plan to change that for the next year. So let's just jump in and get started. The first thing I want to go ahead and talk about is quote-unquote investing. Now, I have a Fidelity account where I invest into a Roth IRA and an index fund every month, and that works really well. I think that is something that every young person with even $25 of income that they can save aside should be doing. However, I have taken on some new hobbies of what I guess you could call quote-unquote investing or reselling. I sort of look at it as an investment until it is actually resold, because at that time I'm out of money. I've lost that money. Yes, I have the value of that product while it is in my hands, but I have not sold it yet. I have not made my money back. So at that time, that item is sort of an investment piece. I've taken on sort of a new hobby this year with reselling things, and I think it sounds great in theory, but it's also dangerous, and I highly recommend you be cautious with this if this is something that you are willing to pick up. If you are not part of the plant community, you're gonna think I sound crazy, or if you are not part of the horse community, you're also gonna think I sound crazy. But plants have been a hobby of mine for a very long time, and the last 8 or 9 months or so, I guess since the middle of the summer, I have begun to import wholesale plants. So I will buy a few $100s worth of plants overseas, which is a lot of risk in shipping overseas with customs, and then also having a plant in a cardboard box for a week or more can be dangerous and risky if the plant gets confiscated or dies or whatever, and then you're out that money completely. But the plant market in the States, while it is not at its peak right now, it is doing pretty darn well relative to other parts of the world. So I purchase plants in wholesale quantities from places like Thailand, where these tropical aroids grow. I will resell them here in the States on Facebook Marketplace, on Etsy, to other plant stores, that sort of thing. And you can make I have sold a handful of plants for 2 to 4 times as much as I purchased them for, which sounds great, but like I said, there's a lot of risk, and I have had a whole batch of plants die on me getting shipped over here. I've had plants taken at customs with false phytosanitary certificates, that sort of thing. Great side hustle gig if you're willing to take the risk, and perhaps you can find something a little bit more stable, but there's also a chance that this plant sits on my shelf for 3-4 months and goes nowhere, and I'm out that money. So be careful with that. I got a little too caught up in the potential to make money than the actual money I was making from it, and have sort of fallen into this trap that I'm very excited to get out of you know what, let's not buy a new batch until we've sold the previous one, that sort of thing. So interesting side hustle insight if you're interested in that, but just be careful with that. My second biggest financial regret, which some people might have differing opinions on, is groceries and eating out. I eat out a lot, but there have been times when I get unrealistic with how much I'm going to eat in. I overbuy my groceries, and they quite frankly go to waste. I am a single person. I live by myself. I cook for myself, that sort of thing. But I very rarely am home as much as I would like, whether I'm at the barn, I'm teaching, I'm working, I'm at school doing homework, whatever it is. I very rarely am at home, and so I will spend $100 on groceries for 2 weeks, and quite frankly, I maybe only eat 2/3 of that, and I'm almost effectively throwing that money out the window. When on the other hand, I could buy a bag of oranges. I eat 2 oranges for breakfast every single day. That's my breakfast. Maybe I have an egg, something like that. I go to Chipotle, I buy a Chipotle bowl for $8 and it lasts me 3 meals. One Chipotle bowl costs me $8, and especially if I have a bag of chips or a tortilla or something to supplement it just a tiny bit, I can typically make that Chipotle bowl last 3 meals. That $8 bowl is now coming down to $2.66 a meal. It's healthy, it's fresh, it's convenient, it's easy. I'm not putting time into cooking when I could be putting that same time into studying or being at the barn or working out, going for a walk, going for a hike, doing some other side hustle, that sort of thing. I've sort of gotten to the point where I realize that yes, eating out can be expensive, but if you do it well, it can be almost more affordable than eating in if you consider the time it takes for you to purchase the food, cook the food, clean up, etc. I am somebody that really thrives on variety, especially, and I feel like as a single person, the best way to get the most bang for your buck when you go to the grocery store is to meal prep. However, with that comes you eating the same meal 5, 6, 7 meals a week, which for me is quite exhausting. I would rather go and make a Chipotle bowl last 3 meals and then go to Panda Express and get a $10 Panda Express bowl that lasts me 4 meals, and then you've got a little bit more variety. I'm not saying ditch the grocery store completely, but my biggest regret this year with that has been overestimating how much I'm going to eat at home, how much time I will actually be at home, and then with that comes waste, both financially and just throwing away food that's gone rotten or gone bad because I haven't had the time to eat it or make it, or I end up with 6 heads of lettuce from Costco and it's unrealistic for me to eat those in the 4 days before they go bad. So there's that. My third biggest financial regret of the year has been gifting. Now, I definitely feel that one of my love languages, especially giving love languages, is gifting. I don't feel all that loved, I guess you could say, if somebody were to gift me items, but I take a lot of joy and a lot of pride in giving other people things, even if it's something small like, hey, I saw this candy bar that made me think of you. A friend of mine actually gave me a bag of Skittles for Christmas, which was the best Christmas gift I could have asked for because my horse loves Skittles. And the fact that like they knew and took the time that Madison's horse really likes Skittles, I'm gonna go buy her this like $2 bag of Skittles, meant more to me than like anything else could have. And I feel like I have a similar mentality with giving gifts as well. However, I tend to overdo it, and I've sort of gotten to the point, especially with this last Christmas, thankfully, that that doesn't always need to be the case. Take a step back, double check, think through it. Is this person gonna get as much joy out of receiving it as I'm going to out of giving it? And if the answer is no, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to give it to them. I'm just saying think twice about it. Does your halfway acquaintance deserve a $60 gift of yours? Probably not. If they haven't been that big of a part of your life, how can you show them your love and affection in another way? I tend to overdo it with people like coaches or teachers or professors or whoever it is, especially ones that I'm working closely with. And while that's not always a bad thing, I need to double check and remind myself that at the end of the day, I'm a college student. At the end of the day, I do not make a ton of money. I am still trying to set up a life for myself, and my professor that's making 400 grand a year, if he really wanted this, perhaps he could go buy it for himself. The student that's making $2,000 a month does not need to be the one that does that. This past year for Christmas especially, I really got into jewelry making, so making necklaces like this and that sort of thing, and I found that this was such a fun and thoughtful and affordable gift to give friends, family, people that I babysit for, whatever it is. And you can say, hey, I made this for you, I thought that you would like it. There's so much more like love and effort that went into that than me going and buying something expensive. And now, not only with that, it's fun for me, I enjoy it, and there's nothing better than somebody receiving something that was handmade, that they're actually gonna wear, hopefully they wear, than me and going and buying them a bag of chocolates at the grocery store. So I've definitely rethought my approach to gifting this year. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely like to spoil the people really close to me, but I think it is good to give a second thought to those that are a little bit more a step away from you when you're giving. Now, my fourth biggest financial regret of the year has to do with budgeting. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love budgeting, but I love budgeting certain things. I love budgeting my income. I love seeing where it's coming from. I love seeing how I can invest it. I love seeing the buckets that I'm splitting it up to so that I can understand this much is going towards taxes, this much is going towards my next car, this much is going towards my car emergency fund. Yes, I do have a separate car emergency fund in case my car like needs new tires or something. But I think I'm similar to a lot of people, and that I avoid what really needs to be done, and that is budgeting how I'm spending my money. I have always sort of taken on the mentality of, well, as long as I'm saving X amount of money, which is well over 20% of my income, I don't really care how I'm spending the rest of it. And that was the approach I took on this year, especially the last 8 months when I've seen quite a big change for the better in my income. But with that has definitely come some lifestyle inflation, because I've still taken on the 50-30-20 rule, where traditionally 50% of your income goes towards your absolute necessities, so your living expenses, utilities, that sort of thing. 30% goes towards your wants, and then 20% goes towards your savings. I have been saving well over 20% of my income for the last while now, and I definitely do not spend half of my income on living expenses right now. And so I've taken on this approach that as long as my savings bucket and my necessities buckets are met, why does it matter how much I'm spending? And while I think that's not a terrible strategy, as your income increases, inevitably you're gonna have some lifestyle inflation. And also, I should be understanding how I'm spending my own money within that category. And I am like a lot of people, and I know exactly why I don't do this, and it's because it's embarrassing, and because, quite frankly, I don't want to know. I don't want to see how much money I'm spending on clothes. I don't want to see how much money I'm spending on my horse. I don't want to be reminded that my horse's shoes cost $200 every 6 weeks. I don't want to see how much I'm spending on food going out, which honestly is always surprisingly low. I eat out probably, I mean, I don't know if you constitute like coffee as eating out, but typically I spend about $80 a week eating out on food, and a decent amount of the time that's also me paying for a friend or buying my friend a coffee or something like that too. I think this last month I spent $390, so a little bit on the higher end of that, but all things considered, I feel like I'm eating out well. I feel like I eat well, and I'm still not spending an outrageous amount of money on food. But when it comes to buying tangible items, not food, because food's sort of a necessity, I don't do it, and I avoid it because I know I don't want to know. And that is something that I am going to absolutely be changing in the new year, and I'm very excited to sit down and sort of have a wake-up call, I think is what it's going to be at the beginning. Quite frankly, I think I'm gonna scare myself into saving more money, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think the first 2 or 3 months of seeing how I'm spending my money, where it's going, how much I'm spending on subscriptions that I don't even realize, that sort of thing, I'm really excited to see how that changes my own habits with my spending and my budgeting and my saving, all 3 of those. One of my big things for the new year is to impulse shop less. And now I'm not talking about like a little bit here or there, oh that's cute, I'm gonna buy it. But I'm talking anything over $20, I need it to sit in my cart for 2 weeks before I'm allowed to buy it. I'm gonna see how long I can keep this up, and I might like tailor it a little bit, because I think there is a fine line between being frugal and overspending. There's also a fine line between being like not truly living your life and enjoying the money that you're working hard for, and also being too casual about it, I guess. I have worked harder the last 6 months than I've ever worked in my life, and I don't think, at least my approach is that I should not be penalized even more for doing that. If I'm going to work my ass off, quite frankly, spending $50 here or there once or twice a month is not going to be the end of the world in the long run. That being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know what some of your financial regrets for the past year are and how you plan to change them in the new year. I am so excited to have a better understanding of how I'm spending my money, where it's going, and how I can put that money towards other more useful things. Do I really need new chapstick? No. I don't know why I thought of that. I'm just looking at chapstick behind my camera. But I have heard a lot of people like to take out things like their daily coffee, because that's $5 a day, when in the grand scheme of things that's only $1,500 a year. And so yes, the little things don't always add up, but for me the absolute biggest suck of my money is Target. I will be in the checkout line at Target, I'll go pay for my things, and I look down at my bag and I'm like, holy cow, I just spent over $100 on like this bag of stuff. So I really want to be more conscious, and I encourage you to take a double take on what you're spending your money on, where it's going, and how you can better allocate your funds, track your funds, etc., to have a good idea of how you could be using your money more wisely. So I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Peace out. Bye.